Hi, hey, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing some Android stuff. I am hoping to look over AsyncTask and Loaders, or in my case, an AsyncTask and an AsyncTask Loader. Now, before I delve into what I'm actually going to be looking at, like start explaining things and whatnot, an async task, what that is basically suppose you want to do a lot of things in the background of your Android app. You don't want to pause the main thread, the main course of doing things on the device, because then it'll end up crashing or it'll be freezing for the user, and that's not good. You don't want that. So what an async task does is it lets you run things in the background. Now, unfortunately, there are some drawbacks to using an async task, but luckily, loaders can pick up the slack where the async tasks drop it. So let's look into why that stuff is what it is. First up here, we've got the async task. Now, say you've got an activity. This activity starts an async task in onCreate. We're going to just assume this async task can take quite a while. So while it's going, say the user just gets sort of bored and rotates the phone. Look at that. Now we've got another activity and the other one is still there. So this one is running the same async task. So now there are two async tasks that are the exact same, both running at the same time. Now again, it's going and going and going, and the user rotates the device again. Now I've got three. Now this could just keep going on, and you could have, since these async tasks are still running, the activities are still there, and you've just got them all piling up one after the other, taking up all of the user's resources, maybe even using up a lot of data in the background. And that is not good. That is bad practice. So we have the loader. Now, again, the loader is being started in onCreate. So activity 1, it turns on, and onCreate, it initializes a loader, an async task loader, and links that up to the activity's onLoadFinished. So after that occurs, say it's been going for a little while and the user decides to rotate the device while it's still going. Activity is gone, and there's still only one async task loader. As soon as you rotated the device, it recreated the activity. It dumped the old one and it has this new one. Now this one, it tries to find the loader and it successfully finds it is there. It links it up to onLoadFinished and you've only got one activity and one loader still. Now again, it's running for a little while and the user rotates the device. And again, that activity is gone and you've still only got one activity, one loader, and everything is perfect. Now, I've actually got an example project here to sort of show my point, and it's pretty basic, really. It's just got the async task and the async task loader. In fact, I didn't even mess with the layout. If you look there in the emulator, it's still hello world. It's all in the Java. So, moving to look only at that. Now, I will give basically just a little rundown of what we are looking at here. So, this is the main activity. In the onCreate, where it first runs stuff in the app, I have start the async task with my own method here called start async task, and start loader in a little method called start loader. Now, what these both do, as shown by the comments, is this one starts an async task and this one starts a loader. So, here in the start async task, when it gets to that, it makes an async task variable here. Now, this is an extremely basic async task. It doesn't take in anything, doesn't return anything. It's just all voids. And in the background here, it will run thread.sleep for 5,000 milliseconds. Basically, it's just telling the thread to pause, just wait for 5 seconds. And then once it's done with that, we move into onPostExecute, which says an async task has finished running into the log using this handy little log tag I made called Napu test, or with the value Napu test. Yes, it's called log tag. And so after that, we've got our thing declared, and we hit example async task dot execute. That starts it, and then we move on. So after that, we get to start loader. Start loader is right here, and it is quite small. So what this one does is it gets the loader manager, call it manager, with get support loader manager. Then it uses manager to check if the loader is running or not. So it uses manager dot, that's loader manager, dot get loader, and passes it this ID. Now this ID here, it could basically just be any number you want. Mine is 1. It's just got to be a number. Just a unique ID for the loader that you're trying to start here. This is just my little test loader, so I've just given it a value of 1, and the name isn't anything special here either. It's just loader ID. The main idea is you don't want to get the ID mixed up with another loader's ID, because then you could get a bit of a mess. So as long as it's the only one of that ID, you should be fine. So here, it tries to get the loader, and if it doesn't find anything, if it returns null, then it says, well, I guess there's no loader there, so it starts it with manager.initialize loader. It gives it the ID. I'm not passing in any values here since I'm doing something incredibly basic. Just want to start the loader, and I set the callbacks to this. Now, before I go into why I'm setting it to this, I'm just going to note here that if it does find the loader, then it will run the else block and restart it with restart loader. Same thing. So loader callbacks is this. If you look up here, those with keen eyes might have spotted it. The activity here is implementing loader manager.loader callbacks. Now, if I collapse things just for ease of viewing, you see at the bottom here, I've got these 3. The on create loader, on load finished, and on loader reset that are given to me by loader callbacks. Now, re-expanding things. If I run initialize loader, that goes straight into on create loader. Thank you, loader callbacks up at the top. So what this does is when you initialize the loader and whatnot, it runs and tells you what the ID of the loader that's being started is and the bundle that is passed in. Now mine, I've just got a value of 1 and no bundle. So here, if I wanted to, I could, for example, say like if the loader ID is, and then I'll just say loader ID just to show that it's the one I want. And then I could return specifically the new async task loader that I want it to use, but I only have 1, so I don't actually need all this stuff. Because otherwise you could like say, if it's this ID, give it this loader. If it's that ID, give it another loader. But in this case, I don't need that. So here, I just returned this right here, a new async task loader. And what this does is when it starts loading, it forces it to run load in background. So here, load in background, what we do, just like the async task, is we have it stop for a whole 5 seconds, and then it's done. Now here in onload finished, which is run next, since the loader finished running, all it does is logs loader finished running. And that is that. So here I will run my emulator, which I've already got started up. Let's swap the view over to that. So you can actually see what I mean by it like stacking up and whatnot. I'll type in my little tag. There we go. So there, did it do it or no? I think it might have just done it. See there, loader finished running and an async task has finished running. So it did it once. So if I were to rotate the device, give it about 5 seconds or so, should be exactly 5 seconds. There we go. The async task finished and the loader finished. Now suppose I rotate it maybe 3 times. There's 1 rotate, 2 rotate, 3 rotate. You will see async task, loader, async task, and another async task. So in total up there with what we just did, there were 3 async tasks that all finished on their own, but only 1 loader. So when we rotated the device, it kept the old activity running and said to just make another async task. So you end up with 3 of them running concurrently at the same time. Whereas the loader, when it started up, if we look right here, went over to here, it found the loader, and it told it, oh, well, I guess we're doing the else branch here, and restart that loader. So it only went through once. So that right there in that of itself is pretty point proven, but there's a little bit more that I'm going to be looking at here. I have a second version of this file where instead of just restarting it, what we want to do is once it finishes going, we have the data cached. So say it's a 5-second download. Once you rotate the device, instead of doing another 5-second download, it'll say, we don't need to do that. We've already got it right here. So here we go, paste that in. I will let you guys have a full view of Android Studio here to see what's changed. There's not actually really all that much at all, just pretty much like, I believe, 2 or 3 places. So right here in Start Loader, the method that I just got that starts up our loader, instead of doing all that if-else stuff, I've got the loader manager here, and I tell it to start my loader. And this is because I tried using restart loader, and it dumps my cache data for some reason. I will have to be looking into that. But here we go. In the initialize loader, we go down here on create loader. You'll notice there is a variable here that holds my cache data. I call it my cache, and it's a string. Now on start loading, what it does, it checks if my cache is not empty, if it's not null. If there's actually something there, then it will say that it has found something. It will log loader found cache data and tell us what it is. If it doesn't find anything there, then it will run load in background with force load. Now force load, again, pretty much the same thing, but one difference. What it does is it does its waiting for 5 seconds thing, and then it sets my cache to say I'm cache data. So then if it runs through again, it will start going and say, hey, look, there's something there. And it won't go through the 5 seconds of waiting again. Otherwise, it's pretty much entirely the same. So running, I will change it to show the emulator. And here we go. Just let it build. I'd love to ask how you guys are doing today, but I'm afraid you can't exactly respond in real time. So, here we go. All right. So it started up. I'm going to do a quick rotate just to show again. And it actually managed to finish right there. Wow. It finished as I was going. Let's run that again just for a more conclusive little test. Clear the log and everything. So I'm going to just rotate it over and back, and we should see rotate, 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 that the loader, it ran through its original time and then reported back. And you'll see that as I was rotating it, it found that it had cache data and it didn't go through just initializing the loader again. So it's doing all of those async tasks. So many. See, async task, it is a killer. So if I rotate it now, instead of going through the 5-second wait, it just says, hey, look, I found it. I don't need to load every time. So yeah, loaders, they're magical. They're wonderful, and you should use them. Anywho, I think that's pretty much all that I've got here prepared to show you guys. So hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully, I know I learned something. It was a great thing to look into, make. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's any topics that you'd like me to go over, please let me know. I had quite a bit of fun making this, and I would love to do some more. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and please have a nice day. Bye.